The basics of beatboxing. When I'm gone. I'm Emily McVicker, and I use beatboxing a lot in my live looping. There's like dubstep style. There's like beatbox sampling that you see on those live looping contests.
Like this. All right.
And there's that cute little lady on TikTok that does like the beatboxing and the voices. But I've gotten a lot of mileage out of knowing some simple drum beats and just playing in the pocket, baby.
Playing in the pocket.
So today I'm going to show you those three main sounds. Everybody sounds a little different because we all have a unique facility. And it really does take some time to develop your pocket and feel. And then at the end, I'll show you an excellent practice beat for you to memorize and use. Sound number one, the kick drum. It's the biggest drum of the drum kit. It sits on the floor and the drummer uses their foot to kick a beater into the drum. And I would relate it to saying the word puff. Puff, puff, puff. You're more like whispering it. And then as you get more comfortable, you can take out any vowel in the middle. You can feel your larynx pulsing. You can play around with how much space you want to leave in like your mouth. You can make a really deep kick drum or a more shallow kick drum. We'll come back to that. Sound number two is the hi-hat sound, and it's made with your teeth. The hi-hat subdivides the rhythms. If the kick drum is playing quarter notes, the hi-hat might be playing eighth notes. With those two sounds, you can make a beat. Sounds funky to me. Both exhale sounds.
But Emily, if we're expelling air the whole time and subdividing the eighth notes with it, how are we supposed to breathe?
Excellent question. We're going to talk about breath once we get to our third drum, the snare drum. I know pro beatboxers that all prefer doing different types of snare drums. So I'll demonstrate a few different kinds, and then I'll show you which one is my favorite. The most well-known one is probably the k. It's boots and cats.
Boots and cats and boots and cats.
Notice, for that snare drum, it's an exhale, and I have to take little catch breaths in between the beats. You can really play with your inhales and exhales while you're making these sounds. Rhythmically, of course. The second type of snare drum that I want to show you is called the tight-lipped snare drum. Really similar to the kick drum, but if a kick drum makes me think of the word puff, the tight-lipped snare drum makes me think of the word piff. I also hear some people going like, to me, that doesn't sound very realistic, but it totally works for some people. Before we get to my favorite snare drum, let's take notice of how each drum sound is made in a different place in the mouth. The kick drum, the lips. The hi-hat, the teeth. The k snare comes from the very back of your mouth. So none of the sounds really have to compete with each other. And this is why you have to pick a snare that feels the most comfortable to you. So that's why it's beneficial to put them in different places in the mouth. My favorite snare drum is an inhale snare drum. I make the sound with my tongue on the roof of my mouth, and I suck air in through the sides of my tongue, between my tongue and my top teeth. This is sounding really gross. Just like if you burn yourself on a hot stove, you're like, that's the placement that you want to make this snare drum. And we'll do it in rhythm. Because it's an inhale sound, once we figure out how to flow it seamlessly with the other sounds, it's going to also make it easier to breathe. Okay, here's the beat that I want you to practice. It's gonna get your mouth in shape and get you comfortable feeling the beat with your embouchure. And I spell it in a silly way with silly syllables. It's only one measure, but we'll split it into two parts. It goes puff, sip, a ka, puff, sip, a ka, puff, sip, a ka, puff, sip, a ka. Nice. Puff, sip, a ka. Nice. And the second part is sa-sa-sip-a-ka. 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 Yeah! Let's put them together. Puff, sip-a-ka, sip-a-ka. Puff, sip-a-ka, sip-a-ka. Puff, sip-a-ka, sip-a-ka. Puff, sip-a-ka, sip-a-ka. If you recognize this beat, it's actually the intro beatbox to Lauryn Hill's cover of Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. And in the original beat, they actually use the k sound. But when I do it, I substitute whatever snare drum I want to do. See how percussive and tight each sound can be. I'm editing this video right now and noticing I forgot one extra sound. At the end of the sequence, there's an extra tss just to tie the whole beat together. So the whole thing is going to sound like this. Okay, back to the video. Yeah.
I need you, baby. And if it's quite alright, I need you, baby. To warm the lonely night, I love you.
Does anybody want to see a live looping breakdown of that song? Let me know down below. Now go subscribe. I mean, go practice. Practice in the shower. Practice while you're walking your dog. While you're in the car, just beatbox along to the song. Get used to feeling that rhythm. Practice till it's easy, and then you'll start to get good. Thank you to my awesome patrons who support my music and this channel every single month. They get exclusive behind-the-scenes content and extra perks. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you want to see more of my live looping content, click this next video. Beatboxing hiccups.